Lawton's Homeless Action Committee has been looking at ways to address the homelessness issue in the city. Tonight, the City Council will be discussing a plan created using artificial intelligence.
Now, joining us this morning to talk about this plan is Lawton Mayor Stan Booker. Sir, thank you for joining us on the desk today.
You guys get up early around here.
That's for sure.
We do get up kind of early there. So
it's still some kind of wonderful.
Well, that's good. So can you explain the community development block grant homelessness reduction plan that's being proposed tonight during the City Council meeting?
Well, we have three things on the agenda that concern homelessness in Lawton. One of them has to do with an amendment to the CDBG plan so that we can include transportation. That's bus tickets to help people get home to their family. I sent a chart, I don't know if they can get it up, but it shows that the closer they are to family, the more likely they are to be restored to some level of self-sufficiency. Another thing that we have on the agenda is an AI-generated template of how we should use our CDBG in the areas that we're required to use it to address homelessness without increasing homelessness. And then the third agenda is an unauthorized camping ordinance. Why is it important to have a plan that addresses homelessness without increasing homelessness? Every city that's come up with a plan to address homelessness has attracted more. And the general idea is having a discussion with Captain Brindley at the Salvation Army this last week. If you build a 1,000-bed shelter, you will attract more than 1,000 people. You're going to attract whatever you build for. And so that's why it's important that we take a look at some of this.
You mentioned that AI template. Just what role can AI play in helping out this homelessness issue?
Well, I think AI real quickly ties everything together and tells you if you're on the legal right track, because legalities and everything, federal law, state law, everything. But it also opens up our thinking and gets us out of the box we think in and gives us new things to think about. And that's really what this plan did.
So, I would say, a lot of folks are concerned right now with artificial intelligence. And I think one of the things that probably the community would ask is that, okay, it's generated by AI. How is it independently verified? And have you consulted with some of our local professionals here that are on the ground working? And you mentioned Captain Brindley right there. Can you kind of talk about that a little bit?
Well, Captain Brindley wasn't at the Homeless Action Committee that this was presented at, but generally the council members, the voting members of the committee liked this template, and that's all it is a template.
Okay.
Now, there was concern among other members that were present, other folks that some people are advisors to the committee, they don't vote.
Okay.
They had concerns about limiting the number of shelters or believing that we had enough. I think what happened there was the discussion, they all provide to what we call transitional homeless or situational homeless, those people we're trying to keep from getting homeless, right? Versus the chronic homeless, which people are seeing on the street, it's increasing. We had 4 people from Tulsa left here last week. And so they continue to arrive from other places, and it's because we project that there are facilities here for them.
You mentioned Tulsa, of course. Governor Stitt recently teamed up with the OHP for Operation Safe to create basically a sweep of Tulsa for the homelessness issue. Has there been any discussion of a similar sweep like that here in Lawton?
There hasn't been none that I'm aware of. Now, what happened in Tulsa was not a sweep of Tulsa, it was a sweep of state property in Tulsa, okay? It's against the law to camp on state property. So all that I see is, there was lots of publicity and lots of politics involved, but at the end of the day, the governor's job is public safety and enforcing state laws. And that's exactly what they did. And what people forget many times, same thing with our camping ordinance, it's going to come up, that we're not compassionate, but we need to define the roles. Our role as a municipality as elected officials is to provide public safety. And wherever you see those tents camping, there are children close by. Public safety is our #1 job.
Now, outside of the normal public comment or the audience participation, how can our citizens provide comment or their opinions about this specific plan moving forward?
Well, first I want to encourage them to read it, okay? Many times we get people that pile on and they haven't really read it. So read it, that's the first thing. And then their public comment will be taken on these agenda items so they can sign up to speak at the council meeting. And audience participation has been moved to the end of the meeting. That's because it's become politics, not my trash didn't get picked up kind of comments. So if you want to speak on these items, just fill out a form and you'll be allowed to speak. Now there are limits on how much you can speak, a total of 9 minutes on the item.
Okay.
Now, how's the city helping the current shelters, nonprofits, and other organizations around town?
Say it again.
How is the city of Lawton helping the current shelters and nonprofits and other organizations around?
So there's an item on the agenda. It's under old business for Family Promise to provide them some operation funds, and that would come from CDBG, and that would help them. And they help. We have high barrier shelters, which means your life has to cross a high barrier to get in it, which means you're not violent, basically, and you don't have sex offenses and stuff like that. And low barrier shelters. Currently, Salvation Army is the only one that deals with low barrier. And when people say homelessness, they mostly think about what they see on the street. That's the chronic homeless or the low barrier individuals that have violence, mental health issues, and crime in their past that can't get into the shelters for one of those reasons typically.
All right. Well, Mayor Booker, thanks for joining us today. I think it was very informative. So the council meeting is tonight at 6 o'clock, and it will be at City Hall at the normal location. You will be swearing in Lane Hooten, the new councilman tonight for Ward 1. It's just prior to that.
Yeah, we're going to swear him in at 5:15,
okay.
and then of course there'll be comments by the council members, and then we'll break and have some refreshments and before we start our council meeting.
Okay. All right.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning and waking up with us awfully early, for sure.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more news and weather and sports.